discretion is advised.
What is one thing COVID has taken away that we'll never get back? All the social interactions I could have had, if only I was not partially deaf, and with some bad tinnitus, which added to face masks makes my life a lot harder than before, even though I have my hearing aid. Also I feel a lot less independent as before, since I need people helping me going through basic errands and daily tasks. Makes me feel less confident by the day and pretty lonely. Actually getting to rest when you're sick. My school used to rarely give out sick days, but you had an extra day to make up what you missed. Now it doesn't matter how sick you are, you have to Zoom the classes and do the work. I have several friends that ended up with concussions that still had to Zoom. There is no such thing as resting when you're sick now. My ability to sing. I got covered twice. I can't sing long notes or high notes anymore. It's a big struggle to return it to the way it was, which is unfortunate for me because singing well has been something I was proud of for so long. Like everyone else said time. I'm not even experiencing my early 20s. I can't believe I'm 22 now. Time doesn't feel real. People don't seem happy. I haven't made a single good memory since 2020. I'm afraid it'll be like this for a while. I feel so bad for children growing up in this. If I knew how things would be today, I definitely would have lived a little bit more back then. My social life. Before the COVID lockdowns I used to have some friends I could talk to. I also had a good relationship with my parents. This got weaker and weaker because there was no school. My friend also left. Now most of the things are open again and I'm alone 24/7. I feel depressed because I have no friends anymore. Nothing to do. Always alone in my room. I wonder if other people experienced it too. I feel like I lost 2 years of my life. All I did was work and stress about my high-risk family members. My dad, who never smoked, got COVID and he's still having trouble with his lungs almost a year later. I'm just exhausted. Snow days. Edit. I know it's still a thing. It's been considered a bit in some places, but nothing's changed yet because it's not fair to expect students and faculty to be able to transition back to online immediately. I'm all for snow days, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to reduce them. Dating. Used to be super successful at getting people to come out of their shells. Now people have an actual medical reason not to. I'm married, but from I can tell from friends, relatives and Reddit, a lot of people are using COVID as an excuse to not putting themselves out there and isolate socially in a way that looks very unhealthy. COVID babies and social development. I have a 2-year and she has never been around kids her own age or hardly anyone outside the family. I don't think she knows how to interact with people her own age or people she doesn't know at all. Every morning my neighbor would be strumming his acoustic guitar while smoking a blunt and watching the sun rise. Not too loud as to be disruptive, but like a nice soundtrack to the day. He had a big heart too. Really nice guy. He caught COVID at his job because his boss was sipping the Fox Kool-Aid and was gone a week later. He was fine most of it too. Then he coughed up blood and drove to the hospital. He died before his father could get there to see him. There isn't a single person in the neighborhood who doesn't miss him. For some in the neighborhood it was the moment of, oh duck, this is a real thing. How watching a healthy 29-year-old man die in a week from a flu that would only kill the old and obese. Faith in humanity. The lack of compassion and care for one another was irrecoverably disappointing. For me it's my ability to have patience and wait for things. I used to be able to wait to do stuff, travel, etc. Now I find I'm constantly wanting to do stuff now or as soon as possible just in case we can't, and I get intense anxiety about it. My husband and I saved for a trip in 2020 and then COVID hit. We lost most our money. We were devastated because we haven't been on a far trip together. Then we had 2 years of isolation. I have constant anxiety about buying things too. In my head I am like I have to buy it now before it's all gone. even if I can't technically afford it. I was never like that before. Honestly, one good thing that has been taken away is a lot of our ignorance to things that have been in front of our face forever. For the first time, we've been really able to actually think about things. Remote jobs are a lot more doable than corporate life has made us think. Managers and office buildings are pretty much unnecessary at this point. Our productivity goes up when we are at home more and are able to live our lives the way we want without someone peering over our shoulder 8+ hours a day. A lot of people have been thinking about how we could improve our lives in the use in ways that were so glaringly obvious. Walkable, more pedestrian-friendly towns with mixed-use planning, and more efficient sustainable public transit systems. Lowering the work week to 34 hours creates more jobs and a higher quality of life with better working conditions and higher pay. Limits placed on power, authority, and wealth from landlords all the way up to politicians, so that everyone has better opportunities. And so many more innovative ideas that would just make everything easier. This is a weird one, but I was reading about an Agatha Christie play being cancelled due to COVID. I find it so sad that it ran for so many decades and then had to be cancelled. Here link is the link about the play. I haven't seen it and I've only read one Agatha book, so I'm not heavily invested. It just seems like a real end of an era, and even if it is resumed, the accumulated years of running it in a row is over. The fact that I now honestly believe that humanity will never progress beyond this current stage and has started to regress in terms of what it means to be a civilization, that we are doomed and witnessing the beginning of the end. Normalcy. I'm sure someone here has said this. I miss just getting dressed and meeting up with friends at the mall or bar without having to worry who's vaccinated and who's not. I miss the late night club days in the summer with no mask and good vibes. I miss work being normal as work can get, and when hour didn't come downstairs to remind us of the COVID death toll. Ultimately, I just miss being able to see the people I care about whenever I wanted without protocols, and visit loved ones in the hospital, or have people visit me in the hospital. For it to only have been 2 years, I feel like I could type a very long list. I think it'll always be like everyone would be excited to go out and do something without the fear of getting sick and possibly dying from a virus. Now, some go out and are excited, but will have the thought in the back of their head, I sincerely hope I don't get sick after this. I graduated 2020, so my senior year, prom, and most of my freshman year of college was taken from me, which sucks. I can't go back and get those memories. I'm 20 now, and I feel like people my age just got booted into an extra depressing adulthood. Hugging people. Since COVID, we've only hugged our closest loved ones. I used to give my teachers and friends hugs. Now we've not done it for so long that it feels unnatural to do so. It's especially sad because I love hugs. My last year of school, including prom and parties. I know some people lost their businesses, loved ones, etc., but sometimes I'm still sad about never being able to experience those things. Our wedding how we wanted it, our honeymoon, the time in life where you finally have enough money to travel a little further before you start to have kids. Maybe the best years biologically to have kids. First pregnancy. First kiddo, and my husband wasn't allowed at the appointments or scans. This was before vaccines were available. Being 18 and 19. I turned 20 in mid-January this year, and it was only last Thursday that I went to a bar for the first time. I would have gone on my birthday, but as luck would have it, I actually got COVID on my birthday. Before COVID, I still held on to this naive belief that despite some rotten eggs, humanity was at least trying to get through this whole life thing together. Any sense that a significant amount of people will do the bare minimum to help society if it means any inconvenience at all to themselves, and not just the pandemic. as it pretty much destroyed any hope I had left that we might be able to address climate change or any other issue facing us. Even Marizo in the US, where I still had hope we might, in the foreseeable future, actually get reasonable things other countries have like healthcare or reasonable wages, vacation, paternity leave, etc. The rugged individualism mindset and misinformation machine and divide is just too great to overcome. And for some reason I was under the mistaken impression these types of people were really a small minority, but in reality it's a not insignificant portion of the country. Makes me feel beat down and very pessimistic about the future for my children. My taste and smell. It's been 2 years. I doubt they're coming back. There's definitely lots of children who have no memory of life before COVID, because they're like preschoolers. All they've known is this. Makes me sad. I feel that I lost a sense of being safe to be around other people. I'm in my 70s and asthmatic, so being around people has not really happened much. In 2021 I was finally able to be in the same house with my adult sons. That was so great, since we had gone a year without really being able to sit down to a meal together. Mother's Day 2020 was with the family coming to my house and leaving gifts on the front porch, then going back out to the yard. At least we were able to see each other at a distance and with masks on. I agree with others here who say they lost time. We all lost time, just some realize that is one of the most important things. We're a race list. Too many of us lost family and friends to COVID. Those people are truly lost to do many. No proper goodbye, no service, no funeral. Just emptiness. That is really difficult to deal with. We have lost so many healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, therapists who are leaving their professions because they are burned out and can no longer cope with all the severe illness and death. Through all this, I'm afraid we have not learned enough to be ready for the next pandemic. It will come and we will still have people who refuse to get vaccinated or wear a mask or do what is right for the human race. Maybe Mother Earth is telling us how we have totally screwed up our human existence. We need to learn from COVID, but I'm quite sure not enough of us will do so. Time with parents. I mean, they are still alive and hopefully have decades ahead of them. But I haven't seen them in 4 years. I was supposed to have a big wedding in 2020 and see my family, but that of course did not happen. I don't know how to phrase this exactly as an answer to this question. Maybe a feeling of societal security for a lot of people. I think the idea that grocery stores might just one day not be able to feed you has been planted in the minds of many people. I don't know if it will be to the same degree, but it could be like how people who grew up or came of age during the Depression were generally seen as extremely frugal. I think people have also become somewhat habituated to going out less as well. Just my guess. Though, the psychology of people today is significantly different. And the situation too, obviously. So it could be when everything is taken together that it's more a life for today attitude that's dominant. My mother-in-law devastated my husband and my daughter is 5. So while she understands death, unfortunately this is not her first experience with death. She forgets and asks to FaceTime grandma. And then gets upset over again. She was pretty young, active, and healthy. It didn't matter. Our blind trust in others to manage their own health. Now we are skeptical of every single tiny cough or sniffle. I want a mask that says it's just allergies, so when the trees decide to hate on my sinuses I'm not assumed to have COVID. So many people have gotten sick and just ignored any isolation requirements and cracked on with life as normal. I'm sure I'm not the only one who just inherently doesn't trust humanity to do the right thing anymore. Click subscribe. If you enjoyed this video,